Now from WATN, it's Local 24 This Week with Richard Ransom.
Welcome to Local 24 This Week. I'm Richard Ransom. Hope you're having a nice Labor Day weekend. But if you're watching this Sunday, either at 9 a.m. or 10:35 p.m., it's because you know this is the place to be to get the real story behind the big stories. In a moment, I'll be joined by my roundtable. But first, the topics for this Sunday. And with a month to go in the Memphis mayor's race, it has to be front and center, starting with the debates over the debates. It doesn't look like there will be any debate. That bothers some candidates, others not so much. We'll also talk about the night when local Democrats went dining with Republicans a week ago. Mayor Jim Strickland and former Mayor Willie Herenton raising eyebrows among their fellow Democrats for attending the Shelby County Republican dinner. I'll ask my roundtable what they think about that. Which leads us to the guest speaker at that dinner, Governor Bill Lee, taking the state plane from Nashville to Memphis to attend that party fundraiser. He's taking some heat for that, as well as for who else was on that plane with him in light of recent scandals in Nashville. So a lot to get to, but first let me introduce my panel for this week. Political consultant Susan Adler-Thorpe is here with Thorpe Communications, as is Local 24 News political analyst and commentator Otis Sanford. I guess we have to talk about the debate first, folks. Do we think there's going to be one? Do we all agree there probably will not be a debate?
There won't be a debate.
There won't be a debate.
And the bottom line is what? Willie Herenton does not want to take part in one, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Tammy Sawyer would love to take part in a debate, and Jim Strickland says he would take part in a debate, but not just with one candidate. He wants all three on the stage, and therein is where it sits, correct?
You know, if I were, first of all, Willie Herenton doesn't want to debate because he says, I think, that his record stands, and he doesn't need to debate anybody. He's got the name recognition, and he doesn't need to be in that arena. And as far as Jim Strickland's concerned, it's my understanding he would have gone into a debate, but without Willie Herenton there, why should he? If we're to believe polls, really good polls, then he has a comfortable margin ahead. Why should he debate Tammy Sawyer, who really is, she's not even in two figures in these polls. So why should he debate her, be challenged on everything he does, have to respond, have to defend himself, criticize her, and you know who wins? Willie Herenton. He sits at home and he laughs and he says, look, these two are fighting it out. I'm the one who looks good.
We should point out that you are a Strickland supporter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Would support the decision he's made. Although I know internally I'm hearing he's kind of chomping at the bit to do a debate. He just, you know, his advisors are saying it's just not a smart political move for him. All right, so Otis, you opined on this in an editorial in the Daily Memphian. An excerpt I want to show the viewers at home. You said a televised debate would be Herenton's chance to convince skeptical voters that he still got it. Unlike 1999, he would be the hunter instead of the hunted. The fact is, Memphis voters deserve to see and hear all the serious candidates side by side who want to lead this city into the next decade. This is not about 20-year-old grudges. It's about leadership. Who's got it, who wants it, and who's lost it. That should not be too much to ask in exchange for our votes.
Right.
You say it's a grievous error.
I think absolutely it's a grievous error. I mean, Dr. Herenton, and I have tremendous respect for Dr. Herenton. He's been a public servant in this community since the 1970s, so we have to give him that. But he's been out of office since 2009. He says people already know my record. Well, an 18 and a 19-year-old voter who will be able to vote in this election don't know his record. And it's those folks that I think need to hear what he has to say, what he would intend to do where they're concerned and everybody else. And so, yes, I think he is making a major mistake by not debating. He hates debates. The 20-year-old grudge that I would refer to in the column was back in 1999 when he got beat up by 4 or 5 other candidates, and but he came out and won in a landslide in that election, so it didn't hurt him at all. But he just has a distaste for debates, primarily because I don't think he wants to be challenged with some of his record that may not be so pleasing.
So let's hear from him, the candidate himself. We asked him to respond to your commentary, and here's what he had to say. Okay. We will have to come back to that. We don't have it yet, but we'll show that response in a minute.
Let me support what Otis said. He's absolutely right. Any debate between any candidate is a good tool to enlighten the public.
Right.
And that's whose vote they want. They want the vote of the public. But if you're looking at this debate from a political strategy, And and Willie Herenton, I've known him forever. I covered him when he was mayor. He liked me and he didn't like me, but I've always had a great deal of respect for him. Whether you're in his camp, whether I support Strickland or not, or would it be Tammy Sawyer? The truth is, political strategy is, if you're ahead in the polls, the front runner really doesn't have to debate. The front runner does it only if it could work well for the front runner. If Strickland's a front runner, Herenton's not there for him to debate. But it's only Tammy Sawyer who's going to come out with anything to attack Strickland. It doesn't play in his favor, and that's my understanding of what's going on.
And I understand that through your eyes as a political consultant, but I just do agree that the voter does get short shrift here, because even though there's a lot of theater in some of these debates, there are nuances, there are things that voters pick up on in the course of a live television broadcast. How they respond to pressure, how they think on their feet, how they react to someone who challenges them, whether it be the questioner or a fellow candidate. That serves a purpose, that you can't in any way try to repeat that in any other form other than a live TV setting.
And I agree with that 100%. And let's go back to 2015. A.C. Wharton was the incumbent. Now, I don't know if he was considered to be the front runner and a big front runner the way Jim Strickland is this year, but he was the incumbent, but he agreed to debates, televised debates. I don't know that it helped him all that much because Strickland was able to point out some problems with crime and some other things, but at least he was willing to do that and people were able to size up the candidates. All I'm saying is that I think Dr. Herenton, with all due respect, is making a mistake here, because I think he could actually win over some voters if he got out there and talked sincerely about why he wants to come back and what he intends to do going into the next decade.
And let's not forget, he's very good on camera. I mean, in just his comfort level and coming out who he is and what he represents. He doesn't let any kind of filter or censorship of what you can or cannot say. He doesn't worry about that, and you get the very genuine guy that he is.
Willie Herenton pulled verbal punches long before Donald Trump ever did, and he doesn't care what he says or who he steps on. And in a way, he knows that it may not play to his favor in a debate, but I have to agree with Otis. Herenton, it would have been good TV, it would have enlightened us all, it would have given us all a chance to take a look at the candidates, but because Dr. Herenton chose not to debate, we won't have any debate.
Well, I agree. And one other very quick thing where Dr. Herenton is concerned. In 1991, he debated Dick Hackett in front of the Rotary Club. It was televised. And that debate helped Willie Herenton. It got him a lot of white Memphis votes, and I think it was one of the things that helped him win that election. So he should not be eschewing debates at all. Yeah, I think it would help him.
And he's watching this saying, whatever, Otis.
I bet he is.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to talk about another aspect of this campaign, that controversial dinner, the Lincoln Day dinner for Republicans, attended by two of the Democratic candidates for mayor. We'll be right back.
He was just another poor farm boy facing an uncertain future in the Black Hills of South Dakota. But through a series of events only God could orchestrate, the young man was transformed by a message that would end up touching millions of lives throughout the world. Discover what God can do with just one person that answers his call. Watch the Christian Worship Hour this week and learn about the amazing new film, Heart of a Shepherd, The Extraordinary Life of Harold E. Salem. Visit ChristianWorshipHour.com for more information about the film and weekly program times.
Good to see you.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We started Friday Night Lights as a way to give our young people something to do. We've also added hours and new activities to our libraries, and attendance is up nearly 98%. We've expanded youth summer jobs, and next year, for the first time ever, every child will have the opportunity to attend high-quality pre-K. Because what I'm committed to most as your mayor is making sure every child has a chance.
You can be the greatest, you can be the best, you can be the King Kong banging on your chest. You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself.
throughout the country. Buried pipelines are indicated by a pipeline right-of-way, a long, wide stretch of grass cleared of trees and marked with signs. If you have a right-of-way near your home, do not plant anything in it or dig in it. Do not install a fence or build your kids a super cool fort without first getting the pipeline operator's approval.
Call your local natural gas utility or visit pipesafety.org. Brought to you by the Tennessee Gas Association.
All right, we found that interview segment with Willie Herenton that we mentioned in the first segment. Let's watch that real quick.
Is it wrong for me to expect personalities from the media to be professionals, to not bring your bias with me? Otis Sanford, if I watch him on the show, he is on Strickland's staff. He's on the staff. That is incorrect for a person to be in the media. I saw where there was going to be a debate September the 19th. I said, that is very interesting. A mayoral debate. I said, that's very interesting. Well, I didn't know there was going to be a debate, and I think I am a major contender for the mayor's office, and I know that there is not going to be a debate. You know why there's not going to be a debate? Because Willie Herenton is not going to participate. And let me tell you why I'm not going to participate. I've been in public service for 18 years, close to 18 years as mayor. The citizens of Memphis know my values. They know my management style. They know my accomplishments. So we have as our campaign strategy, and we have a right to have our own campaign strategy. Our campaign strategy does not include a public debate.
I had to squeeze that in, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So let's get your, I don't want to belabor the debate issue, but let's get your response.
Well, I don't really have a response to that. You know, Dr. Herenton and I have had a contentious relationship at times. We've had a great relationship at times. He was wonderful for me when I was writing my book, and so I don't have any real response to that. This is all politics. I'm doing my job. He's running for office. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
And he reaffirmed our statement that this is strategy, not to have
right.
it.
This is a strategy. Yeah,
right.
Basically,
exactly.
He's very upfront about that. All right. So another controversy this week was this Lincoln Day dinner the Republicans have every year here in Shelby County, and it was just the who's who, really, among the Republican Party: former senators, current senators, congressmen, just the business community, on and on it went. But there were also some well-known Democrats there. Sheriff Floyd Bonner was in attendance, as was Mayor Jim Strickland and Willie Herenton, both Democrats, although this is a nonpartisan race for mayor. But that really drew the ire of Tammy Sawyer, who did not attend. She is the county commissioner and also a mayoral candidate, and she said, we have her quote here, "They had no problem going to the GOP's annual fundraiser last night and listening to calls for Trump's re-election, how Democrats hate the principles of government, and rubbing elbows with those whose policies are set to devastate health care coverage, increase privatized prison populations, keep wages low, and privatize education." There's a real palpable, almost angry desire among the Sawyer campaign that why on earth is Strickland and Herenton, for that matter, not grabbing onto these national issues, the things that have lots of Democrats upset, and why aren't they making it more of a local issue? And they're very, very frustrated about it.
Susan, you want to take that first? Because we may not agree on this one.
Well, I see no reason that Democrats can't show up at a GOP fundraiser. You know, I can assure you they didn't contribute any money. They may have paid for their dinners. I have no idea. They may not. They may not have sat for dinner. But, you know, the mayor's race is a nonpartisan race. There's not a Republican or Democrat on the ballot. And I think, as you think that Willie Herenton made really a mistake by not coming to the debates on TV, I think Tammy Sawyer made a mistake by not coming to this one. Now, certainly she can stand up and reaffirm with her supporters that she wasn't, as a Democrat, going to be surrounded by any Republicans. But by golly, if you want to win this mayor's race, Republicans are going to go to the polls. They're going to vote for somebody, and you may as well go there and shake their hand, and maybe you'll pick up a few votes. And I think that's probably why. I've been going to these partisan events and dinners forever. And I see Republicans at Democratic dinners, and I see Democrats at Republican dinners.
Well, what's interesting, Lee Mills, the former Shelby County GOP chairman who's running for office himself, said that Jim Strickland got the most applause of anyone there, which I think was interesting.
Well,
yeah. So let's get a little reaction to this. Harrington responded when he was asked about it. He told the commercial appeal that I have always been able to cross party lines depending on the quality of the elected officials, and when I was in politics the majority of my contributors were Republican businessmen. For these people to be surprised, I'm a Democrat by choice. And then Strickland for his part said if the public wanted me or if I wanted to address national issues, I would run for Congress. I'm not running for Congress, he said. I'm trying to solve Memphis's problems and serve Memphis better. That is the difference. I think most of Memphis agrees with my position. Otis?
Well, I'm going to take a slightly different tact on this than Susan took. And it's going to be under the guise of this political strategy that we've been talking about this entire show. I think it was actually smart political strategy for Tammy Sawyer to criticize this for the people that she's trying to reach in this election. And here's why. This dinner, this fundraiser, turned out to be a highly partisan affair. You had people there like Don Sonquist, I believe, who were just hammering on Democrats. David Kustoff was not all that didn't say all that many kind words about Democrats. They were talking about just how backwards they are, and we have to re-elect Donald Trump. Well, the majority of Memphis voters are Democrats. And a lot of Memphis voters don't want to see Donald Trump re-elected. So I think it was smart political strategy for her to criticize, for Tammy Sawyer to criticize her two opponents for sitting there palling around with Republicans while they are attacking the voters that she is trying to reach. That's all I'm saying here. They had good arguments. They had good responses, both Strickland and Harrington. But I don't think Tammy Sawyer loses anything or did anything wrong by pointing this out.
She absolutely doesn't lose a thing.
Yeah.
She just reaffirms, strengthens those people who are going to vote for her anyway. What she did do, I can assure you, a few people in that room, if not many, have decided they're going to vote for Willie Harrington, and other people in that room are certain they're going to vote for Jim Strickland. I'll guarantee you she didn't pick up one vote in that room, and therein lies part of the reason she's still in single-digit.
And I agree, but I don't think she would have picked up any people if she had gone, honestly.
You don't know that. She doesn't know that.
I don't. But again, political strategy says, why are you sitting there letting these folks beat up on the people that you want to have vote for you? That's all I'm saying.
Well, and let me point out, too, that David Kustoff is certainly a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, and he is a big Donald Trump fan, but one of his closest friends in the world is Jim Strickland. Well, and they've been close friends and law partners for many years. Right.
They must not talk about the president too often.
They obviously not.
I don't think conversation. So. We should also mention that the Strickland campaign said that there was also a one-on-one meeting with Governor Lee. Another reason they felt it was important for him to be there to discuss the Tennessee Highway Patrol committing more troopers to patrolling our highways. So there was some city business conducted at that situation as well. Right. One other thing on the mayor's race I wanted to talk about, you guys, and that was the endorsement, apparent endorsement of Tammy Sawyer in a tweet by Hillary Clinton. She pointing out that these are some of the 55 most amazing candidates, and they were endorsed this month, including, they said, an activist who helped remove Confederate statues in Memphis. Does that give Tammy Sawyer much help to be able to claim the former presidential candidate, the Democratic nominee, is
I think she can say that, yeah, Hillary Clinton is mentioning my name or including me. I didn't necessarily see it as a big-time endorsement, so I don't think we can go that far. But again, Tammy Sawyer has been running a campaign based on the national outside of Memphis people who are supporting her, who like her, who even have funded her. So, but I don't think it will make that much difference in terms of raising her vote total or even raising her profile.
Yeah, but on Election Day, none of those national outside people who are even funding her have a single vote in this election. And But, you know, it wasn't a resounding endorsement by Hillary Clinton. She was giving a shout out to that progressive organization that mentioned Tammy Sawyer as one of 55 activists in the country that are running. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a city council member who was listed in that 55, those 55 number. So, you know, it's not, it gives the Sawyer campaign something to shout about.
Right.
And she needs to be able to shout because she's got to fight to get the recognition. And it, just like not attending the Republican event, gives her something to shout about.
Yeah. The only other development this week is we learned from Linda Phillips over at the Shelby County Election Commission that voter registration not very good at all leading up to this mayoral election, indicating that turnout probably won't be very good either. You predicted earlier this could be kind of a ho-hum election as far as attendance is concerned.
I mean, if there's not any excitement that's generated between now and, say, 2 or 3 weeks from now, 2 weeks from now is when early voting starts, it will be very ho-hum, and it won't even get close to the turnout of 2015, which I think was at like 28%, but it will probably go back into the teens in terms of turnout, and that helps Strickland. It hurts Dr. Harrington and Tammy Sawyer.
And I think I want to point out, too, that all of the publicity about the Democratic presidential debates are overshadowing a lot of what's going on here locally.
Yeah.
People are more focused on what's going on in Washington. It's very important that we are focused on our presidential candidates. There's no doubt about it. But the problem I see is that it's the local candidates. It's our city council, which we haven't even mentioned. Our mayor. They're the ones who make the decisions that affect our daily lives, not the President of the United States. They decide what our property taxes are going to be. They decide whether a development of apartments goes into your backyard. They are the ones who have the most effect on us. People right now are more focused on presidential debates. They really ought to be focused on local candidates, city council, and mayor.
But you know, you don't have to go far. Nashville comes to mind. Their mayor comments on national issues involving Trump and immigration and tariffs all the time, which, you know, I think Tammy Sawyer and others who support her say, well, if the Nashville mayor can do that, why doesn't the Memphis mayor think it's
Well, I mean, I could stand to see Jim Strickland talk a little bit more about national issues. I wouldn't mind that at all. That's perfectly fine for a Memphis mayor to do. But again, let's go back to strategy. His strategy is to run a very hyper-local campaign, brilliant at the basics. He's paving Highland Avenue where I am every day. It looks smooth now. That's what he's doing. And so that's his strategy to win.
Well, in truth, Richard, maybe the mayor of Nashville should be doing what the mayor of Memphis is doing. Why do we have to do what they're doing in Nashville?
Well, you know, that's another point.
He can certainly focus on all the congestion going through downtown, as I've had experience recently. I'd like for him to take that on. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, something else that came out of this dinner was that it was attended by the governor. He was the keynote speaker, and he took the state plane to come to Memphis to attend, and there are questions about that expenditure as well as who was on the plane with him right after this.
I'm Local 24 meteorologist Chelsea Chandler. Before you get your kids ready for school each day, make sure you catch my bus stop forecast so they're prepared throughout the day. It's weekdays on Good Day Memphis, 5 to 7.
The bus stop forecast on Good Day Memphis is brought to you by NST.
Everyone who has ever lived has lived here. All of mankind's triumphs and failures. Every moment, every hometown, all here. We start our coverage on the ground and take it to the airwaves, so you always know what's happening in your own world and beyond. We are free TV and radio. We are breaking news. We are always there. We are broadcasters.
All right, so this is how it's going to go down. You are going to say, you'll get the best deal of the year on Xfinity TV and internet. And you even get this. Mike, you're on balloons. Sarah, you're going to high-five everybody. Ben, you're going to be wowing them with your dance moves.
Don't miss the Xfinity Best Deal of the Year. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Now's the time for amazing TV and internet during our Best Deal of the Year. You'll get huge savings with 2 years of DVR service and 1 year of Showtime included. And ask about even more savings with Xfinity Mobile. Click, call, or visit a store today.
At Staples, a bright future starts with the right supplies. So our wide selection of back-to-school essentials is in stock, guaranteed. This week, save big on the supplies they need for success. Staples. back to school and beyond.
That's why we called Bath Fitter. They removed our old tub and installed a beautiful new spacious shower. Now, getting in and out is a breeze. And we have peace of mind with seamless walls that provide a watertight fit, plus their lifetime guarantee. Thanks to Bath Fitter, life is so much easier with a shower we love.
Call today or learn more at bathfittersouth.com.
School voucher bill controversy refuses to die. It came up again this last week when Governor Lee came to Memphis to attend that dinner, more than $7,000 to use the state plane to do so. On the plane with them, Representative Tom Leatherwood and Representative Mark White, who voted for the voucher bill, raising questions about some quid pro quo involving both of those lawmakers. Real quick, you two weigh in on, you think that's a legitimate question, legitimate criticism?
Oh, I think it's a legitimate thing to ask, but I thought Mark White and Mr. Leatherwood had reasonable answers. They said they were in a meeting. They would have had to get in their car and they wouldn't be late. They were offered the ride. They insisted and didn't have anything to do with their vote. But that's beside the point. There's too many questions about this voucher bill and how it came to be passed. Glenn Cassiter, the former speaker, is at the heart of it, and the legislature needs to revisit this when they reconvene in January and maybe even repeal it, because I think there were some dirty dealings that got into the whole process.
We talk about the optics all the time in politics, Susan. You got 30 seconds.
This is one case where they really have to be sensitive to optics. Look, the taxpayers give the governor a plane to use when he needs a plane to use wherever he goes. It's going to cost the taxpayers the same amount to fly him to Memphis as it does to fly him and 2 or 3 other passengers to Memphis. It's really not that big of a deal, but it is something to ask a question about, and it is the optics.
Yeah. Okay, and we'll be back to wrap things up right after this.
A drunk driver hit us head on, not knowing what we was going up against, a multi-billion-dollar company. We needed somebody to be our voice. I am so glad that one of my family members told me to call the Reeves Law Firm. It was hard to walk away from the insurance company offer, but I trusted that the Reeves Law Firm could get me more. The jury awarded us $1.8 million.
If you or a loved one have been seriously injured, call us immediately. Let us be your voice.
If you want new Hyundais from $99 a month, we got it at Gossett Hyundai Mount Moriah. During the epic summer clearance, lease new Hyundais just $99 a month. That's Elantras, Sonatas, Konas, your choice, $99 a month. All with America's best warranty. We got it.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, Jeff Allen and Gossett Hyundai South Mount Moriah want to make you happy, happy.
America's veterans are more than a source of pride. They're a source of strength. When our veterans thrive, our communities thrive. With your support, our veterans can get career and education opportunities as well as benefits they've earned.
Hello, I'm Congressman David Kustoff. Join me in thanking our nation's veterans. They've given so much in service to our country. Find out how you can support veterans in our community.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
America's veterans are more than a source of pride. They're a source of strength. When our veterans thrive, our communities thrive. With your support, our veterans can get career and education opportunities as well as benefits they've earned.
I'm Senator Marsha Blackburn. Our veterans have given Tennessee so much, and it's time to do something for them. Find out how you can support them right in your community.
This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
And that's all we have time for this time. I hope you'll join us next week for Local 24 This Week. My thanks to my guests for being here as well.